All right, so something a little different today. We're on the golf course, and we've always want to have the ability to take the game that we're training and trusting on the range to be able to bring it over here. And we know it's different, okay? When you're on the driving range, you might be hitting a 7-iron over and over again, grooving your swing. You might have multiple swing thoughts like 2, 3, maybe even 4. That is very manageable on the range. It's not quite the case when you get out to the golf course, okay? You're gonna hit a shot. I'm starting on a par 3 here. We're gonna do a few holes, and you're just gonna kind of watch me go through my normal routine. And we're gonna talk about just the best ways to get the most out of your game. But I'm gonna hit, say, a shot on this par 3, and then I'm gonna go chip or putt, and then I'm gonna go the next hole's a par 3. It might be 10 minutes before I hit my next golf shot. So that's not like the driving range. On the driving range, we're hitting a ball, maybe one ball every 3 minutes, right? So it's very repetitive. We can get into a groove. Golf course, not so much. So I like to tell most of my students when we do playing lessons, you've got to limit your swing thoughts. We've got to just choose, say, the one best one, maybe 2, okay? Maybe 2, but 1 is probably a safer bet. But the priority one, think of the one that's gonna help your swing the most out of the few that maybe you have to choose from, which we know we usually do, okay? So for me, the only thing I'm thinking about today is I'm just envisioning my swing. My low point is tending to be behind the golf ball lately. So I'm envisioning my club hitting the ground up here more. It's just a visual. I almost picture 2 or 3 balls past my ball just to really be able to compress, stay down, get some shaft lean. That's really all I'm thinking about, just that feel and thought. And I've been working on it for a few weeks, so it feels, relatively good. I just lasered this hole. It's 167. The pin is red. I know that anything long here is going to be a downhill putt. So my 7-iron's about 170. It's a little into the wind. It's kind of at my limit, but I'm going to go ahead and hit a 7-iron, right? Because I don't want to be long. I don't want to be putting or chipping downhill. If I'm a little short, it's not the end of the world. And basically, when I have to hit a ball full, you've always got to be a little careful, because that's when we can kind of start to grab the club, swing a little harder. So I do a couple things that are small. I seam my Pro V1. It just means I put it on the line, I put it on the seam. They've proven that the ball travels a little farther when it's seamed. When I don't want it to go as far on a par 3, because we can manipulate that, I don't put it on the seam. And then I'm just really telling myself, try to have a nice, smooth swing and get your power by compressing the ball down at impact. All right, so here we go. I'm gonna pick out my intermediate target. I see a little tuft of grass just in front. Line the club face up, set my feet, divot past the ball. It's got a good line. Wow. I was pretty lucky there. I was not expecting that. It's about 4 feet right of the pin. And then sometimes too, it was a good shot, better than I expected, to be honest with you. I'll take my divot, and I'm literally, this sounds bad, I'm just kind of patting myself on the back. I don't know how many more good golf shots I'm gonna hit like that, but when you do, take that time to take some confidence from it. I held my finish there, and I just appreciated, wow, that was actually a lot better than I expected. I'll hit some bad shots, don't worry. Let's go see where it went. All right, so pretty good shot. I'm gonna fix the ball mark, spun back about a foot, and that was not staged. And actually, I have a little bit of another problem now. Like, the expectations just went way up, right? Because I obviously wasn't expecting to hit that good of a shot. And now, I don't know if it's show it on camera, this was the downhill I'm talking about. I've probably got about a 2.5 to 3% right to left slope here, and it's maybe a 2.5 foot putt. So the biggest thing that I'm telling myself in these situations, because obviously a little bit of nerves and a little bit of other competitive juices and expectations start to kick in, I'm trying to treat this as simply as possible, just kind of like a person just going to work, right? I'm gonna look at it at like right edge. I'm gonna keep my stroke nice and simple. One of my biggest thoughts with short putts like this is kind of like what Tiger does, is just to hit the sweet spot. And then try to feel that exact same work. Boom, luckily it went in, and we got off to a great start. Go check out the next hole. So we've got another par 3 here, right? It's 190 yards. It's a 5-iron for me if I hit it good. What I always like to stress with my students and myself, right, this is our line of commitment. You notice this white stick I've got on the ground. So anytime I step over this line, it's kind of a different box, right? We got this from Pia Nielsen and Lynn Marriott. They're great sports psychologists. But when I'm back here, I have a little feel for my swing. Like I said, my one thought, yours is gonna be different, is me staying down and through and moving that low point forward. But once I get back here, okay, all I'm doing is I'm picking out my intermediate target. As soon as I cross that line, I'm gonna kind of shut off my brain and just kind of go into play mode. And I know a lot of you thinking, man, you might shut off yours, I'm not gonna shut off mine. Trust me, it'll be a lot better. Anything that you practice back here will carry forward across that line of commitment and into your swing. It's already been programmed in there, you just have to trust it. That's why I always think it's better. I don't like it when amateurs take practice swings here and then they walk up and they hit it. I think they're kind of confusing things right there because they've got swing thoughts and a bunch of other stuff. So back here, and I know this sounds corny, Jack Nicklaus called this going to the movies. I'm literally picturing myself hitting a great compressed 5-iron right at the target. My swing, I'm seeing my ball flight, I'm even hearing the sound right into a smooth finish. And then walk in, line it up with my intermediate, get set. And it's a little weak and right. It's not a bad miss though. Probably gonna be on the green, but I probably got a long putt. I also can tell there, compared to that first shot that was great, if you take a look at this divot, it's 3 or 4 degrees more left, and I can see it's actually a little on the toe. So that was a little bit of a wipe to me, and that's why I kind of hit it a little bit weak and right. It probably only went 180 yards. I'm at least 10 yards short, but it should be putting. Let's go check it out. Okay, so my shot was a little more pin high than I thought, but we're a good 15 yards offline. And as you can see, one of the guys in the maintenance crew forgot to cut a lot of this area, so it's some pretty heavy Kikuyu rough. You can see typically the rough at this public course is not as high. This is fine, but this is not your typical shot. We're not just gonna pitch the ball on there. We're gonna play a little mini bunker shot, which basically means we're gonna set up, maybe not as wide as a normal bunker shot, but a little wider. We're gonna open the face, we're gonna re-grip, and then my goal is to not hit the ball. I'm gonna hit this, the grass behind the ball, and it's a little mini explosion shot. The reason why that's smart to do also is there's more speed in the swing to get through some of this thick rough in case I don't hit it exactly right. If you try to chip the ball out of here and you don't do it, it's not gonna go more than 3 or 4 feet. So there's a little more security in that. So a little mini bunker shot, try to fly it touched on the green. And we chunked that pretty good. So I could see there my low point was 5-6 inches past or before the ball, and it needed to be 1 or 2. So not a very good shot. I'm just barely on the green. That's how you know this is unscripted. Let's go try to make that par putt. Okay, so not the best shot, that's fine. I've got a little fringe in my backstroke here. What's good to do when that happens is just you're gonna lean left like the Leaning Tower of Pisa. And that allows the putt to elevate a little bit more. It's not put the best roll on it, but you're gonna ensure that you don't snag or grab or hit it on your downstroke. When it comes to reading greens, I'm pretty basic, right? I don't necessarily do aim point, I teach it. I don't necessarily use it when I'm personally playing. I get behind it, I look at it, and then what I always like to do, because the most important part of the putt is about the last 4 or 5 feet. So I'll stand over it and I'll just imagine hitting a 4 or 5 footer, and that feels really straight to me. So I have that in the back of my mind, just kind of the ending of the putt, the most important part of the putt. One look from behind again. I'm gonna play it left edge overall. I'm gonna kind of get on my left side just a little bit. I'm gonna try to find a practice stroke that will help me roll about 15 inches past the cup. And then let's go ahead and let it go. So it broke a little more and I didn't quite hit it, but I feel pretty good about even just getting out of there with a bogey. So let's go check out the next hole. All right, you all, so now we get to driver, okay? And my miss, like a lot of you out there, is right with the driver. And I even felt a little bit of that with that last 5-iron. When I'm playing well, typically I can kind of get away with some stuff. But what I do with the driver, and Rory does it too, and he's a prolific driver of the ball, but I actually close the face. I'm exaggerating here, it's not this much, but I turn it down and I close it a little more, and then I re-grip. Rory does it every time. He doesn't set his driver square behind the ball, and it helps him turn the ball over, right? Which is what I struggle to do. Sometimes I start leaking it right, and it makes my swing feel like it's got to come more this way. The next thing that I'll kind of do with my driver, because we're hitting up on a tee, it's actually harder to hit inside out. So both those things, I'll turn it in, and then if you watch my practice swings, I'm swinging more inside out than I would with my iron. Now, I probably won't do it that much when the ball's there, but typically those things for me produce a tiny little draw if I do everything right. Now, same thing, I'm behind the line of commitment, I'm visualizing a nice draw, the face turned in, ball coming over, and let's go ahead and just let it go and trust it. Driver's turned in a little bit. We're gonna swing underneath it slightly. Oh, and it did turn. I hit it on the toe a little bit. Stay right there. So it actually turned, missed the fairway slightly left. If you know anything about gear effect, if I would have hit that in the middle, it probably would have been dead center. I hit it a little out on the toe, so it turned over a little bit more. But I really enjoy that. I do not like seeing my driver go to the right at all. Let's go check it out. All right, so we definitely can't make this up. You saw that lie. It's very much a bird's nest, right? It's down in the rough. I've got 95 yards uphill, blue pin, and I've got a big bunker, okay? Normally I could hit my sand wedge 95 yards. I don't carry a gap wedge. I know I'm an idiot. I've just never played with one. So I'm gonna have to hit a pitching wedge, right? Which my pitching wedge normally is about 130 full, so there's quite a gap there. But what I would like to do on this shot, okay, because we know the rough tends to wrap the hosel and turn it down. I'm gonna open the face a little bit, which should help me take a little bit of the distance off of. And then for me personally, I'm gonna get a lot steeper on this golf swing. Remember how we talked about kind of only having one swing thought, not too many? When you get to a golf shot like this, you need to improvise totally. You shouldn't have any swing thoughts, okay? I have an uphill lie, I'm coming out of the rough, it's a really odd shot. I'm not thinking anything mechanically at all, okay? I'm just really trying to improvise and be somewhat more of an artist, right? Like Sebi would be. So open face, steep golf swing, drive through that rough. Same thing, get back here, envision it happening well, make sure I don't hit it too far, and then go and have a good time, seeing where it takes us. Oh, bite. That came out a little hot. Ooh, that came out of there, and I could tell when it took off, it had a little jump to it. I did not think that ball was gonna jump. I thought it was gonna kind of come out diving. So misread the lie. It's not a great spot. It's over the green to a blue flag, so that's what you'd call a short-sighted miss, right? I'm not gonna have much green to work with. Let's go check it out.
Hey, it's your coach Zach Allen here, and when it comes to the golf swing, I've seen and tried it all. But nothing is proven as effective as the concept I'm about to share with you now. It is the single most powerful piece of golfing advice I've ever come across. In fact, I would go so far as to call it a magic move. Since I don't have the time in this short video, I've put together a 3-part web class where I teach you exactly how to put it to use in your game. Nothing held back. I call it my Magic Move Training Series, and you can get the entire thing free of charge by clicking the link in the description below. You won't find these videos anywhere else, so go ahead, click the link right now, and I'll send you the first session right away. Okay, let's go ahead and get back to that lesson.
All right, so we're in trouble again, right? Definitely not scripted. So we're in the rough, it's going downhill, okay? And the ball is probably 5 or 6 inches below my feet. So I gotta take a little wider stance here just to kind of, get somewhat stable. My goal is to land it on the fringe, but I'll tell you guys, here's the key with these shots, okay? Because I like to pick a spot, I like to envision it rolling and breaking. That all sounds good, right? Yada, yada. We gotta make sure we hit this ball solid first. That is your #1 priority because it's sitting down and the lie is super, super funky. My knee's a little in my way here, so we have to kind of make sure we can kind of just get the club right on the back of the ball. That's always the number one goal with these difficult shots. Try to hit it as solid as possible. That's step number one. It kind of bounced out of it. The ground was a little firm, so I wasn't necessarily anticipating that. It kind of bounced into it. It's a little long and left. We do have a putt. We didn't leave it here in the rough, right? That's always priority number one when you get difficult, weird chip shots like that. By all means, if you have a stock standard chip shot, good lie, you know, flat surface, you can get a little cuter and think about exactly where you're going to land it, how it's going to break. But these weird ones, always hit ball first. Let's go hit this putt. Okay, so it might not do it justice on film, but it's pretty good uphill and a pretty good right to left slope here. And what I always like to envision when I putt, you know, I always kind of watch golf on TV, and you know, the commentators that are on the booth, they know what these guys are going to do almost before they do it, because they've seen so many golfers come through already, make the same mistake, leave the same putt short, miss the same putt low. So I kind of like to envision most people are going to come up short and low here. And obviously we don't want to be most people. I have a decent opportunity. It's uphill. It's not that fast. I want to make sure I kind of give it a chance. So I don't want to just make that everyday normal mistake that most golfers are going to make. So I always kind of think about that before I hit putts. Let's give it a shot. Let's make sure we make a nice firm stroke so it passes the cup. And let's try to make sure it stays on the high side. So it was a little overjudged. I liked that it stayed on the high side. I did give it a chance. You know, I didn't make that typical mistake that a lot of golfers would make. Didn't quite work out that time, but I think it'll definitely help you at other times. I hope you enjoyed this type of content. I think I went birdie, bogey, bogey, so not amazing. Hopefully it gets better from here on out, but I'd love to do more of this stuff again. I love doing playing lessons with my students and kind of helping take that game out to the golf course, get you to the next level, and just all the nuances of what it's like to play good golf. It's very different than playing golf swing, right? So many different golf shots, and the artistry of it all and the creativity is so fun to me, and the pressure of it. So check it out. Give me a comment if you liked it. I'll do some more stuff. Give me some pros and cons to it, anything that you thought was interesting, and I will see you all next video. Have a fantastic week.